Lately, I've had this phrase in my mind, and the Lord's been using it to teach me something in service for Him. And the phrase is rhythm of grace. God has a special rhythm that He wants us to enter into in our work and service for Him, that we would not be stressed out in any way, because the Lord is not stressed out. And that was so helpful for me to know that. He's not stressed out. He has everything under control, and His plan is the best. And if I can join with His plan, then I'm going to see His kingdom come, His will be done. And I found that when I went out and just really hit it hard every day, and I didn't allow for rest and relaxation, and I didn't allow for time to prepare for the next thing, spiritually, emotionally, physically, I wore out. And it took me a long time to recover from that. The Lord taught me a lot through that season. And I want to share more of it later, but one of the main things that the Lord was teaching me is that He has a rhythm for me personally, and the rhythm's not for everyone the same, but there is a rhythm for you, and there's a rhythm for me. And the Lord showed me, that I need to have time to renew and to seek His face and to just kind of rest in the presence of the Lord. And I need time to prepare for the next time. And then I need to go out. And if I don't do that, I will burn out. And also, the Lord began to teach me a lot about grace and mercy, His mercy and His grace, and how we operate under the cloud of grace and blessing. And this blessing here is it's not a striving to serve God. There's not a striving. Of course, we're in a battle. We're in a battle to take territory that the Lord has said is ours. And but there's also a rest that is available for the people of God. Hebrews 4 talks about there's a rest that remains. And some of them didn't trust in God and didn't enter into that rest. And so let's not be like those people who were unbelieving. They weren't trusting in God. They were thinking it was up to them. Or they were fearful and unbelieving. They didn't want to go into the place God wanted them to go to. So I think, there's a rest in work. And I have it written down here that rest is not inactivity, it's directed activity. So I'm outwardly working, but inwardly I'm resting. I'm trusting in His finished work. And I'm just walking in the Spirit, and I'm following after the Spirit, and I'm letting Him do the work. And I'm watching my mind, that I'm not thinking negatively, that I'm thinking positively, that I'm in faith. I'm not thinking being offended with other people. I'm not worried about things. I'm not occupied with things that I don't need to be occupied about. I'm at perfect peace and rest. And so that's the grace part of the rhythm, is that we're underneath the grace of the Lord as we work, as we do the job He's given us to do. We're under His covering of grace. So the next part of it is the rhythm of grace. And I shared this with my leaders, and I'm hoping that it will be helpful, because I think in our zeal and fervor and love for God, we can just hit it hard. And it's sort of like we're saying that we're not trusting the Lord because we're hitting it so hard. We can get into the works instead of into the rest. And I was thinking about rhythm and how in music, sometimes they have the bands kind of playing the different instruments, and sometimes the drums will just hit, 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 and that's good for that time. But if you had a song that was that way all the time, you would want to crawl under the chair. You couldn't handle that intense beat, hitting it hard, the entire song. That's the reason why they break it down, and then they have another level, and then they bring in the bass, or they bring in the drums for a season, and then they back down. So it's a rhythm. And the Lord just kept speaking to me. You don't need to be just going out every day without times to refresh. And I learned about like what refreshing was to me. We think sometimes that we're going to be refreshed by doing certain things, like I'm just going to zone out, I'm just going to watch a movie, or I'm just going to watch TV. I'm not really talking about that kind of rest, because that kind of rest is not the rest that's going to give you the spiritual renewal that you need. I'm talking about rest in the Lord. And I've really learned about this. Sometimes, like say we go on a vacation or something, and I've been on vacations where I didn't really take Jesus with me very much. I took him with me, but so to speak, I wasn't really spending time with him. I was just spending time resting physically. And I've learned that our spirit, soul, and body is connected to each other. And when we, have our minds centered on the Lord, and we're letting him just pour into us strength and grace from him, and we're in the spirit, and we're speaking in tongues quietly and just resting in him, we are refreshing ourselves, spirit, soul, and body, in the Lord. Actually, the baptism of the Holy Spirit in the Bible is called the refreshing. It should be something that gives us a refreshing, like rain to the dry ground. So after you go out and you minister, you need to come back and you need to spend time refreshing and reviving your spirit, soul, and body so that you can do the next thing. And that is to prepare for whatever the next thing is. So that would be, getting into the Word, studying, writing, preparing. It's a lot of work. I always say, if you're going to be a missionary, you need to do your homework. You have to be faithful in all of those things. Going out, ministering, speaking the Word to people is not the whole picture. We need to go out, rest and renew, prepare our hearts, and then go out, rest and renew, prepare our hearts, go out, rest and renew, prepare our hearts, go out. And this is the rhythm that I've found is so important. If I get out of whack, then I can start feeling it in my spirit, in my soul, and in my body. So I just want to bless you with that today. Enter into the rhythm of grace. Enter into the rest. While we're doing the work for God, we're resting in our spirits. and we're in a rhythm that we can maintain and that we can have longevity in service for Him. So I just bless you with that today. From my heart to yours.